Hey, everybody, welcome to the Book Leads Impactful Books for Life and Leadership. I'm your series host and leadership performance coach, John Jermillo. This podcast series is about getting to the books that have impacted the lives, work, business of people in my network, colleagues, new colleagues, friends, old friends. These are great leads that I'll be interviewing on those books. I want to get to those books that have contributed the most, provided the most value, and maybe stood out the most to them. And in this conversation, I have three types of conversations. The first, where they're sharing a book with me I haven't read. The second, where we're discussing a book we've both read, whether specifically for the series or in our past lives. The third is when I have the author and or publisher on to discuss the book that they want to share and get that messaging out to this audience. In this particular episode, my guest is Bernard Lu Chong, and Bernard stands at the helm of a billion-dollar investment empire, seamlessly navigating traditional businesses and cutting-edge tech startups alike. His diverse portfolio spans industries from retail, real estate, and entertainment to food and beverage. His interests range from animation, ASI Studios, radio communications, Energy FM, and to food and beverage, Tim Hortons and Kko Kko, and entertainment, RKB Productions, and IT, 31 Digital, among others. A luminary in the esports industry, Bernard gained international acclaim for founding the award-winning Bren Esports, now APBren, in 2017. Bernard's philanthropic endeavors are as extensive as his business ventures. As the co-owner of Synergy88 Studios, the Philippines' first Microsoft-accredited art supplier specializing in mobile games and 2D character designs, he contributes to the flourishing creative industry. His upcoming ventures include the U.S. expansion of Mendo Coffee Company, a new mobile app platform, housing developments in Panama, and BrenNetwork Investment Fund, and the launch of the BrenSEED Foundation, a global education-focused nonprofit. Beyond his entrepreneurial pursuits, Bernard is an avid Legos enthusiast, chess player, and comic book aficionado with a particular fondness for Batman. Currently residing in Beverly Hills, California, he's a devoted father and family man. And Bernard had reached out when he heard about the book leads, what I was doing, bringing leaders on here to learn about the books that have impacted him, that have impacted them. And he wanted to share his ideas, his story, as well as a book that has impacted him. We went back and forth learning about each other's work and experience, and here we are having this conversation. So Bernard, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, John. Thank you for the intro too.
Absolutely. So Bernard, you have a lot going on. Um, Can you provide a little more about your day to day? So if you have these various ventures going on, what I'm extra curious how it is you kind of maintain them all. What does your day to day look like?
Oh, to maintain them, I got business heads that uh, the sole commander in chief in the said businesses,
Hmm.
and they do the decision making, and I talk to them on reports and updates and the general idea, the vision for the flow, where to do, and then I let them do their journey. So so to all those business units, I have a business head there, and
Okay.
they do their thing. And my day is, I always work out when I wake up. I head to the gym, and then I check my messages, email and text, WhatsApp, for messages from businesses, friends, and I have an EA that sets up my business here in LA. Sometimes interview, podcast, sometimes I mentor people. And other than that, I also explore conventions, places, and meet people and try to hear other possible ventures, possible things that they do here. That's typically my day.
So Bernard, to understand how you got here, can you tell me about your life from when typically I ask my guests about maybe from adolescence on, the first couple steps into their career, whether it was education, whether it was family, whatever it was that put them on a path to start building their career. Can you tell me a little bit about your past, your history? What's your story from that point to now?
I grew up from a family business. We own the World Balance brand. It's the biggest shoe brand in Manila, Philippines. And my family was doing shoe business when I was born. So I grew up knowing the factory, the sales, the in store, and I was particularly intrigued by sales because I get to see different people. I go to places and I present our product and see if our product matches to their needs, or if I need to uh, change it, to advance it, or to tweak it for customer satisfaction. So I learned when I was young in a business sense, in a business experience environment. That helped me a lot. And then when I was studying in college, I also part-timed as a crew member of Kenny Rogers Roasters restaurant in on De La Salle University, Taft. So I was a pioneer crew there. So those are the things my training, so sales and customer service.
What did you go to school for, Bernard?
I went to De La Salle University, Manila, and I studied Bachelor of Science Electronics Communication Engineering, just so I understand how things work. That
That was
one,
gonna that was gonna be my next question. Yeah, why?
yeah, because on a story, I was really good in math, and I feel like going through high school was an easy thing for me. I didn't extend much effort to learn to pass the grades. I think my grades are always above 90s in everything. So when I hit college, I said, "What's the hardest course to apply just to give me a challenge?" And
Yeah.
I really don't have any idea because I came from a business background and sales background. So and customer service. So I took on electronics communication engineering course because it was a quota course. It means they would only accept 200 to 300 applicants, even though, for example, 500 pass, the top 200 to 300 only will be allowed to be entered there. And I was eligible to study that course. So maybe I'm in the higher group. And from there, I remember that I instantly regretted it because it's so hard, and I'm not curious about it because I just took it just for the sake of challenge. But I persevere, and eventually my classmates, they helped me also understand that it's about handwork, because you're gonna make PCBs, you're gonna make soldering iron, you're really particularly building stuff.
Hmm.
So so I got the hang of it. First, you learn. I remember the learning curve of college is really high. It's like things you learn from college are things you do not know from elementary to high school. It's like learning curve high. I then from that point, I think technology and business became my passion because I understand the business side, and then I understand the technology side. So I think it was meant to be. So it completed, in a way, my knowledge of business with technology.
So then from there, after school, where did you go from there?
From there, I started my own business buying junk at the restaurant. So I bought the used aluminum cans and used plastic bottles that normally been thrown,
Hmm.
and I would get them and I would buy them because the restaurant just throw them. I would buy them and put them in a storage out. I would clean them with water. I would segregate them, and I would weight them, and I would sell them to junk shop. It's really good business because your
Wow.
money, when you buy something that's just being thrown and you can just give them to the junk shop where they buy it, it's like my 30 cents becomes 75 cents that time. No loss. Like
Yeah, it's all upside.
for sure they will buy it. For sure they will get it. It's just your time and it's just your energy. But I was young.
How
Eventually, yeah,
how
go
old
on.
were you at that point?
I was 22
Okay.
that time. When
Okay.
I graduated, because I remember I was so excited. I feel like I upgraded. I'm an engineer finally. Then when I applied as a newbie, like a new for a workforce, right?
Hmm.
the starting salary was so low. And I said to myself, hey, I can earn more than the salary. I could do a business and earn more. So I feel like I'm upgraded. I'm supposed to get a ton of salary, but reality sink in that in the industry as a newly grad, they won't give you high salary. And that's because I'm from a business background and I know business, I do business.
Hmm.
I didn't pursue my career as a professional, but led me straight to business.
So then from there, how long did you have that company for?
I had that for a year. We made money, but my partner, I have a partner there, which was my two best friends,
Okay.
so named Stephen and Noel, and we did that. But eventually, they need to help on their own family business, which are bigger, which are more responsibility. So I couldn't run it by myself with them. So we decided to close it, and I went to other venture.
Can you walk me through those steps with the other ventures that you found?
Yeah. So the other venture was I went back to sales, and I was in sales for customs container. So on the container side, we have a factory, so we we can import shoe materials to be processed into finished goods, and we
Hmm.
have a license to import shoe materials. From there, I was connected, and then I learned to do sales, particular with customs, with raw materials. So I source raw materials, I import them, and then we sold them to the suppliers of different factories. And from there, I made good money too, because maybe I was lucky. I studied from an exclusive school where all my classmates were all business people. So
Hmm.
all their parents have their own businesses. So when I did sale and I was like newly grad also, they all supported me. The friends supported me, the friends' businesses. So I think I was blessed because starting all my friends, families, businesses did support me on whatever endeavor I did. So from there, I got the money. Then I started angel investing. I angel invest in restaurant, in radio station, in an animation. I invested with friends, and then I went to a BPO, business process outsourcing platform, customer service, until now. All those things that I planted made money. And then until now, the proceeds I get from those cash flows, I still plant them.
So was it going into those businesses was driven mostly because you had trusted friends in those industries?
Both sides. One is because I trust them and doing their journey. They're normally startup. Some are having like my radio station. I have an auntie named Rebecca C, and she was the head on energy station, radio station, 106.7 FM, and her partner decided to uh, exit. So I was have a chance to buy in. So that's the story. So sometimes,
Just kind of
some,
like right place, right time
yeah,
sometimes.
sometimes I was asked to buy in. It was in the right place, right time, and right people too. Sometimes I started with friends, and sometimes I started with ideas. Also, I played casual games like Clash Royale, Be the King, things that you see in the App Store. And
Hmm.
these games now have chat groups, right? They have chat groups, Diablo Immortal, they have chat groups. And then I it's normal for me to host for the group. So I would normally pay for a restaurant, for a place gathering. So, and then when we gather, I meet people elsewhere country, and then I befriend them. I ask how about their place. It's how I open my eyes to new territories where I know people already there because they were my clan mates or they were my game teammates.
Bernard, the other thing I'm curious about is a big piece of your career, your history is esports.
Yeah.
So can you tell me a little bit about how you got into that industry?
Yeah, because at that time, I think it was Street Fighter and Dota 1. uh the competition was fierce and happy, right? And everybody was playing it because it was a 5-on-5 Dota. It was a 5-on-5, and you kind of enjoy. And there's a movement where it becomes a community based game. And I thought of training for competition because there would be tournaments there. And I decided to train people to become a team so they could compete and help them, just for the sake of
Wow.
helping people rather than earning money first.
Yes.
And then, because sometimes when you're blessed, and if it's something that small amount that you can help, you'll do it. It makes you feel good. And it's also a good feeling also when you make others feel good also, especially if they're doing a good thing. They're not doing bad thing. They're doing
Yeah.
their hobby and stuff, and they make entertainment too. So when I supported that, and eventually it turns out that it's okay and they're happy, and I learned a lot. I learned from the industry. Then I decided to create my own esports brand team, which is Bren Esports that time. And my idea with Bren Esports was uh, I would make something like a team, for example, Los Angeles Lakers, but we have a team where that plays in basketball, in football, in baseball, in soccer. So eventually, Los Angeles will be very famous because in the different sports, they have that brand name. So my team that time was Bren Esports, and we have Counter Strike team, we have team in Valorant, we have team in Mobile Legend. So eventually, the team will become famous. That was my idea.
Okay. Okay. And then Bernard, also I'm curious about I had read about your philanthropic, excuse me, endeavors. Can you tell me a little bit about that? When that began, how it came about?
Well, my philanthropic effort are normally things, small things that I can. When I meet people, I help. When I meet people that needs to go to a competition that he trained for, but there's an entrance fee. Sometimes I help
Mhm.
them on small stuff. It's now that wanted to start my own education foundation on a big scale. But these things, they take time, and they take professionally professional team to set it up. So I'm in my stage now where I'm setting up my education foundation for global to help globally. Uh, but I have experience of helping only on what I can with my resource on a person to person basis.
Gotcha. And can you tell me a little bit about like I gotta talk. I know you're in so many different industries
Yeah,
and
it's
fields,
okay.
but I gotta talk coffee. Can
Ah,
you tell me a little bit about the expansion of Mendo Coffee to the US?
yeah. Uh, because of the gaming friends, I met a Panamanian who's my close friend named Lorenzo and Christian, and they're into the farm of. Well, they're in construction business in Panama, which I'm in business with, but their passion was coffee. And
Mm.
then getting to hang, I learned about what they do also in coffee, and uh, we decided that coffee was being drank wrongly if you put milk and sugar, because they don't enjoy the real freshness of the beans, especially if it's a good bean. And Panamanian bean are really great beans. If you search the Google, I think the Geisha Panamanian bean are one of the most expensive bean in Panama because of the soil that it comes from, two oceans, and the elevation and the
Hmm.
weather.
It's like the
So
right combination of
yeah,
everything.
and I want to bring that to the people, just to teach them, to help them learn that there are some stuff that's good for your health, good to taste, but this is the right way to drink the coffee. So That's what inspired me to open Mendo Coffee. And hopefully, uh, as small as it is, because it's just started,
Mhm.
I could introduce people that this is how coffee is supposed to be drink. Of course, people can still put sugar, milk, what they want, but it's like drinking a whiskey and putting Coke, and then you have a Coke whiskey or vodka,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then you have a single malt whiskey, then you put some sugar there.
Yeah, or even ice to a whiskey or bourbon.
Yeah.
It just takes away from the original richness. Bernard, a couple more things. Tell me about the being an avid Legos enthusiast.
Well, of course, you need hobby. It can be always, you have to be curious. And Lego is one of the good thing to spend time on because it's very relaxing. It takes you away from whatever you're doing because you're focused on the instruction book and you're doing it step by step. So you're like, in a way, stepping away from pressure, because on life sometimes you really don't know what will happen. But when you're building a Lego, you're in a some instructional step by step guide where you will be finished. And you learn also that it seems impossible to build something like a car, truck with small materials, but
Mm.
you learn also that when you know something that has been there, done that, and you follow them, eventually you will complete it, even though it doesn't seem like it. I don't know if you build Lego, but that's not how it is. It's like you're building it step by step, step one, plastic two,
Oh
step by
yeah,
step. And then eventually you say, like, hey, it fits, it functions, it's done. So that's a
yeah.
that's a good training also for me to really believe that if I meet someone who've done it, I just follow them. And I just trust that they would put me or guide me there, such just like Lego instructional books. As long as this person or mentor or guide really have done it.
That's a good, yeah. That's a good analogy. That's a good or metaphor for that. And I am aware of the Legos because my oldest son is 8. My middle son is 5. So my oldest son is really into it. So he'll ask me to help him put something together for Christmas, the holidays, everything. He's always getting different sets and he's asking me to help him. And at first I was like, okay, fine, I'll help you. And then after a while, like you said, because they get bigger and more complex, before when he was much younger, the set would be, say, for instance, 40 pieces. But then now that he's bigger and he's older and he's gotten the grasp, now he can use his hands better. Now they're more intricate, they're more elaborate, they're
Yeah,
bigger, they're grander. So it's interesting you mentioned that it is a nice escape because I look forward to it. It's
yes,
kind of
yes,
like it's seeing something come together from these small pieces. You open the box or you open the bag and you're like, how is all of this
yes,
going to look like that?
yeah,
And you're like, okay, let's and the manual can be thick and it's step one, step two, step three,
yeah,
or we'll get to a certain step and realize we did something wrong. So now we have to like analyze it and break it back, break it down into its parts. So I love it for kids. And yeah, as you said, it is it's a nice escape. You do
yeah,
use your brain, but it's not stressful. It's not burning you out. So I
yeah. It's,
appreciate that
it, it-
answer.
it's relaxing. Yeah, in a way.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So when it comes to being a comic book aficionado, why Batman? Why is your
Well,
particular fondness for
well,
Batman?
well. I like Spider-Man, Captain America, most Marvel DCs. I read them, but Batman comics is like Spider-Man's because they're human. They have humane problems, and there's a detective side on it where you're forced to think about clues and stuff. The if then else, and it's more like reality rather than if it's a Superman problem or Justice League problem. It's like super strong space and stuff. They have to use their super speed. I mean, for scientific purposes, then that's also nice, but doesn't train you really to be thinking more on the actual applications rather than if it's Batman, you learn how to think through like a detective. You know, you learn to
Gotcha.
ask questions. Yeah.
Bernard, does it make sense from your childhood? This is always a question I love to ask of my leaders, my guests. Does it make sense from your childhood that this is where you are, that this is what you're doing? How do you reconcile that?
Well, eventually, everything to a person is because of his decision matrix, and his decision matrix was uh, inspired because of the past, right? Past
Mhm.
experience, past relationship, past learnings and education. So that makes sense. Uh, but I was open-minded also, because it cannot be just past. It's also the forward thinking of wanting to do more, wanting to learn more, wanting to explore. So yes, it was my past. And I used to think when I was in LA, I was also looking for someone like me who I want to learn with. And I was keep looking. And I feel like I couldn't, because I was shaped by my past. And I was shaped by my past because I'm from different country. I went to LA, and then I'm trying to fit in here. So I feel like I need to meet people also with colorful past too. And maybe we have a shared experience to those. But in a way, I feel unique, because what I experience with my life is totally uh, not many people have experienced.
And Bernard, can you speak a little to the cultural difference between the Philippines and the US? What is it that strikes you the most as the differences? Just because I feel like that's another part of your story, why you are who you are, that upbringing. Can you point to some? What are the things that stand out as differences?
Well, structurally, US is more structured in a way their government is, and the credit score is, so they're more protective of their names in a way. They value that really, really closely. Unlike in third world country, Philippines, where I come from, we just introduce people, we tell them to do business, and if it turns sour, there's no structure credit score that will hurt them, and they'll just say, all right, go to the next person, go to the next business and stuff. So all this has advantage and disadvantage. I feel like in US, everything can happen, but it would take time, because they would be checked, scrutinized, and under a system. But at least you know everything's right and everything will be passed. But it's slower. Rather than in a third world country, everything can be fast, but eventually it may not be stable. But you can meet people, you can have talk with them, and you can start a project with them. But it turns sour, you just lost the money, you didn't lose any credit score. Something like that.
Yeah, yeah. Can you tell me a little more about the family, the importance of family in the Philippines? I know you mentioned you came from a family business. Can you tell me a little bit about the family dynamics?
Well, family, I think, are almost same everywhere. Where, of course, because it's a physiological thing that we came from our parents. We only have one dad, one mom, so there's important because you cannot replace them. And of course, some would have just no brothers, some would have brothers, sisters. But I think that one in general, where you go all over the world, as I meet Russian, as I meet Australian family, as I meet Filipino, Indonesian, Vietnamese family, Mexican family, it's similar. They love their parents, they love their brothers, sisters, more or less. It's similar everywhere in terms of family.
Bernard, obviously, I'm a leadership coach, deal in leadership, work with clients. So I always have to ask this question: what does leadership mean to you? And what does great leadership look like?
To me, leadership is first, if you were able to inspire people to better themselves, that is leadership. And you can do that by just being an example, and let your aura attract them, and make them be inspired to do similar to like you what you're doing. If they see that you're helping, and they feel inspired to be better, these are styles already. But
Mhm.
leadership is when you are able to make someone become better and inspire them, that's leadership for me.
So then I'm curious because, and you've mentioned that you have heads of the various companies, the various companies that you have. How did you see various types of leadership exist based on which field or industry it was in? Did you see a need for a different type of style based on what the work was, or the project was, or the company was, or the country?
What I see is there are different kinds of leaders, but they can be all successful if they get all the supporting roles that they need. Because there's a leader that is authoritarian,
Hmm.
they have to have a good, uh, let's say, information flow. Okay, and there's leader who is loose and very uh, wanting to do as a teamwork because they ask a lot. But this one, you have to make them, make him, make the leader supported with different experts in their field. So those are two examples. There are leaders also who wants culture to be right first before they move forward. They're slow, but their vertical is really strong after 6, 7, 10 years time. Okay, and there's leaders also who are fast, but they go to different projects because they're fast, so they learn stuff. But you can see that eventually he has to step down and look for a manager
Hmm.
that would make them stable. So it's their own path too. But bottom line, they were all inspiring. So whether it's a culture-based leader, he inspired also the company. The fast leader also inspired in a certain way. So there I see good leaders, but they inspire people. But it took time, and it took their co-worker or co-employee to see that this is how it is. Minimum 1 year, minimum 3 years.
Bernard, we can jump into the book now. Can you introduce the book that you want to talk about?
Well, I like the Sam Walton book recently because it occurred to me where uh, their business was really good, and when I read it, they started very small, and from that book they occur all kinds of problems and all kinds of challenges, all kinds of trials and lessons. But the thing that stuck me most there is however they do good, they pass it to the customer. So one quick example from that book is like they were selling a sleeper or a shoe that costs $10, and and I'm not sure with the amount of money, but the concept is they
Yeah.
were making $2 profit, and then suddenly they found similar supply that's like $5 only, and they could have made $7. But Sam said, "No, what we do great, we pass it to the customer so the customer could benefit it." And they just put a markup of $2. Still, even though it was in their uh, advantage, or it was there from their effort that they made a better supplier, but they still pass that. They pass what they do good, what to the customer. They make sure that the customer benefit. That's a really good thing.
Now, this is the book, Sam Walton Made in America, correct?
Yes.
So did it follow Sam Walton from, his youth into when he launched, Walmart? Do you know can you share
Yeah.
just the general
Yeah.
story?
Not really in his youth, but he did explain that he was always a leader. He was from a football. He was always winning. So it was said there. But it's not what when he was really young. But the whole story from store one, which is they don't even have a store, they have a discount store. That's how it started until the very end where they're big, until they IPO'd stuff, their story. Yeah, the whole story is there. It's really nice read.
Now, based on what pieces of it resonated with you aside from the customer? I mean, it seems there are similarities between your story and the story you read.
So many times they try without knowing what will happen, but they know it's a good idea because the principles are there, and then eventually it turns out right. And then it's also when you meet a good employee, a good person, and you want to troubleshoot a different store area, you just put the good person there, and the value, the culture will suddenly change. So my takeaway from that is we as a leader should really find every good person we can, and we try to get them and attract them, and hopefully be aligned with them how to go about business or shared dreams or shared projects.
And Bernard, you I read everything in your bio, but I didn't see anything about you yourself having a book or written a book. Do you plan on writing a book yourself about your tale, your story?
Maybe someday, but I'm open if somebody will interview me and write me my book. I mean, I'm down for that. But me, as writing my own story, I feel like I'm not finished yet. I'm still starting, and I got so many things that I'm doing for now. But I'm open to interviews and projects like that.
Um, well, I mean, it can always be chapter one, and then as you go further into life, it could be chapter two, chapter three. You never know.
Good idea. That's a good idea. Maybe let's see.
So, Bernard, what lessons do you hope somebody takes away from reading Sam Walton's book?
The lesson there is always on the customer's benefit. When you're thinking and providing value for the customer, your business will be okay. Will be taken care of.
And Bernard, is there anything you want to share about what you're up to these days? Anything that I can help you share on this platform at all? Anything, the floor is yours, whatever you want to share.
Well, I have a social media app that's I'm starting also. I'm looking for a bank that may sponsor a bin, but uh, it's a business, challenge on my side. I don't
Mhm.
think it's this is the right uh, floor for it. But if you know banks that would like to grow their business, maybe you can make me an intro to them, and hopefully I could share them my plan or my project that I'm very sure I would make their business grow.
Absolutely. And again, I just wanted to share that Bernard had covered with us Sam Walton's book, Made in America. And Bernard, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for your insights. I love everything you shared about your culture, your upbringing, and how you found your way into these various industries and fields. So thank you for your time.
All right. Thank you. Thank you too, John.
If there's anything I might have missed, there's so much to cover, so little time. Please let me know. I'll reach out to Bernard, see what kind of wisdom, insight, feedback I can get on any questions that I get that I share with him. In the meantime, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care. Bye.
All right. All right, John.